Hey guys, Baron here. Today, we are looking at the Legend of Zelda. There are many interesting characters in this series created by Nintendo. Some are, well, relevant, like Link and Zelda, and others are kind of idiotic and stupid, like Beetle. Like seriously, why is this guy in the games in the first place when he does nothing to advance the plot? That's why I'm asking you. Anyhow, I've always thought it was more interesting looking at the villains of the stories, since these are more interesting and developed in my opinion. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at the life and death of Ganondorf. Enjoy. Ganondorf, or Ganon, the King of Thieves, the Great King of Evil, or the Dark Lord, are the many names given to this essence of evil. He was born as a human and a member of the Gerudo, mainly female thief clans. These women give birth to one man every 100 years, and that boy is instantly granted the title of Crown Prince of the Gerudo, or the Guardian of the Desert. Being born into this clan, he learned strategic skills of combat as well as magic skills while he trained under his clan's tutelage. When here, he was raised by a witch known as Twin Rova. They this time learned about the Triforce, a magical power that grants the wielder eternal power. This is, if you didn't know, the triangle that is the symbol for the franchise, The Legend of Zelda. It was here where he developed his ambition, deceit, and skills and manipulation that would widely influence his later life. Being a being of powerful position, as a leader of a huge tribe, and thus having a lot of influence over Hyrule, he used his wits and his skills and manipulation to, with his tribe, enter the sacred realm, or the holy world, where he transformed it into the Dark World, a land of darkness and evil, where he reigned supreme as a powerful being. The Triforce granted Ganondorf eternal life, meaning he has lived for centuries, continuously forcing his might upon the kingdom of Hyrule. This force is also what allows Ganondorf to transform into his mightiest form, Ganon, which is often symbolized by a boar or a pig. In the later games, the Wind Waker, it was explained how Ganondorf's tribe had a harsh and difficult existence. Being a tribe that lives in the desert, they must experience extremely warm climates with blazing sun and large sandstorms and lack of food and water. Compared to this, the citizens of Hyrule lived a flourishing and lavish life with plenty of resources to share. His ambitions lied in giving his people a better life with all the possibilities and things that the Hyruleans had. In the game Skyward Sword, it is revealed that Ganondorf is a god of death demise incarnated, meaning he can constantly regenerate and continue to spit his darkness and anger on Hyrule. Now, looking deeper at Ganondorf's psychological profile, it certainly would be a treat for a psychiatrist, I'm telling you that. He shows clear signs of being antisocial, with clear signs of not caring about anyone outside of his closest proximity, and showing a tendency to view himself as worth more than others that he views below him. He also has traits of megalomania, something we'll get back to shortly. I would, however, not say that this guy is a psychopath. He has a lot of empathy for his tribe, for example, and cares about others' existence, just not everyone's. He just has a difficult time accepting others, and might even be a tad bit xenophobic. This could stem from his high position early in life, and his opportunities to feel grandiose as a king of a mighty people were certainly there. Man, I wish we could just send this guy to therapy, and all the troubles in Hyrule would be over. That is not to say that Ganondorf isn't complete evil and pure wrath incarnated. He is extremely ambitious and goal-oriented, in essence only having one concern in obtaining the Triforce to be the most powerful being in existence. While being a civil man who can show himself as both humble and dignified, he can suddenly explode in fits of rage. This is due to his megalomania. This, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary of Psychological Conditions, means that he has a big feeling of omnipotence, meaning he views himself as a god. Like I said, he is a man who only views himself as superior to everyone else, and that's why he should gain the most powerful things in life, like the Triforce. Hence his obsession with and its abilities. Speaking of abilities, Ganondorf's aren't what you would call weak, even without the Triforce. With the Triforce, he is truly a god, but even without it, he is a powerful warlock, having wide knowledge in the dark arts of magic. This probably comes from him being raised by powerful dark witches. Obviously he had big status as a king of a powerful folk, but he also had a lot of skills in the art of war and strategy, being able to take over whole lands only with the swing of his fists, commanding grand armies, trained to be assassins and thieves. Also, he is very strong and a competent swordsman, which is helped by large height and bulk. Now, to understand Ganondorf's role in the big narrative of the Legend of Zelda games, we must first understand that he actually is the same character in all the games, instead of being different people but with the same fates as many other characters in the Zelda games. He appears in his most powerful beast form, Ganon, in almost all of the games, but today we're talking about his sorcerer form, Ganondorf. And believe it or not, he has actually only played a major role as a central character in 4 games: Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and Ocarina of Time. This isn't a lot considering that the main franchise has like 19 games at this point. So these 4 games essentially make up 4 timelines for Ganondorf. In the first one, Skyward Sword, it is explained, as mentioned, how he was raised by witches and became the king of the Gerudo. It is theorized that before he was born, the Gerudian women reproduced using Hyrulean soldiers, which would possibly make Ganondorf half Hyrulean. After Link defeats him, it is explained how Ganondorf was an incarnation of the god Demise, the god of death. This means that he would always come back for vengeance on Hyrule, being an eternal being of the wrath and darkness. It is theorized that the character Gruz, who appears in this game, is a predecessor to Ganondorf, with his red hair and red jewel on his cloak, a jewel that is linked to Din, the clan's goddess. Demise wanted to punish his descendants with being the host of his evil, explaining Ganondorf's punishment as a forever reincarnating being a forever being of evil. If we look at the timeline of Ocarina of Time, Ganondorf is a king of the Gerudos too. However, in this game, he forms a relationship between the Gerudos and Hyruleans. It is here where he enters the sacred realm through the Temple of Time, opened by Link, and takes the Triforce for himself. Here, in this game, he is arrogant and selfish, and reigns with might for 7 years until Link manages to defeat him. He views himself taking over Hyrule as his destiny, rather than as something he has chosen. He later transforms to Ganon. He manages to control a share of the Triforce power. However, Curse and Wisdom proved to be too much for him, and he was trapped in the Sacred Realm. This was not, however, before he vowed revenge of Link and Zelda's descendants though, something we'll see later. It is here where we go into the timeline of Wind Waker. Ganondorf manages to escape the Sacred Realm and once again try to take over Hyrule. However, no hero could defeat him this time, and the hero in The Legend of Zelda is kind of a powerful being by fate. So the sages who were powerful and good sorcerers had to flood Hyrule. Ganondorf survives, however, and tries to find the other pieces of the Triforce with the help of his armies. That's when a powerful portal opens to Hyrule, and Link comes through in to battle Ganondorf and prevent him from taking the other parts of the Triforce. In this game, Ganondorf is much older and more wise than his younger, more brash incarnations. He is a more sensible character, while still being prone to anger, but his anger comes from cynicism rather than rooted wrath. Later, he realizes that he only wants to break free from the curse put on him by Demise, and that is by fulfilling his destiny to rule the lost and forgotten Hyrule. He heads for the Triforce, only to realize the King of Hyrule took the Triforce for himself and wished to seal away Ganondorf forever. He ends his curse by his own blade, ending his own life. In his final moments, he laughs as he is freed from his fate. The fourth timeline, the one we see in Twilight Princess, follows Link as he travels back in time to his childhood to warn a young Zelda of Ganondorf's actions. She in turn informs the king, who attacks the Gerudo's holy temple and take over the land. Ganondorf was planned to be executed, although he escaped by the help of the Triforce. As an act of desperation, he was imprisoned in the Twilight Realm by the sages. After spending 100 years there, he convinces his son, his followers, to seize the kingdom of Hyrule. With the opportunity to seize the Triforce, he battles Link in his warlike body in a sword fight. After being defeated and slain by Link, he curses him and dies, never to be seen again. Although in this timeline, his Ganon self would forever be trapped to reincarnate across the timeline and do Demise's deeds. This means that Ganondorf, although his extreme power and lust for even more greatness, always was a slave under bigger power he couldn't comprehend. It is truly ironic how someone so focused on power always was oppressed by the very thing he craved. So guys, that was the video covering Ganondorf's life. What do you think of this character? Do you think it's all bad, or do you think he's a grey one with both good and bad characteristics? Let us know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and get a discussion going. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe that subscribe button, and share this video with a friend or two. But with that being said though, I'm gonna get the hashtag out of here. I'll see you in just a click away though. Before, until, and after then, stay awesome.